Have you seen the statement that podcast interviews convert 25 times better than blogs? It's on almost all the podcast guesting sites. They're all claiming it. And the other week, I was talking to a client, and he's like, I saw this and I didn't believe it. And I'm like, I did this study and I didn't believe it. You see, everybody quotes it, but very few understand what it really means. I'm going to explain what it means, what it doesn't mean, and what it means for you. Hi, this is Tom Schwab with Interview Valet. And early on in our process, we started to test podcast interviews. It was almost like a guest blog, right? In the decade ago, 2 decades ago, the hack was guest blogging. Go on somebody else's site, write a blog, and have that drive back the traffic, the leads, the authority. So back in 2014, we thought, could you do the same thing with podcast interviews? I'm an engineer at heart, so I always say, hey, let's test it. So we tested it, and we found conversion rates of 25 to 50%. Now, let me explain. When everybody says it's a conversion rate, what is converting? So the conversion rate was from website visitors from a podcast interview to leads. So that means for every person that listened to a podcast, came back to the dedicated webpage, 1 in 4 to 1 in 2 would actually fill out the lead form, and often it was a big ask on that. Now, how does this compare to blogs? Well, blogs, HubSpot has put out a study that says a good blog, a great blog, for every 100 people that go to the blog, 1 to 2 will actually fill out the lead form. So you're looking at 1 to 2% conversion there, and then you see 25 to 50% conversion off of podcast interviews. And originally we thought, well, that is amazing. That's almost too good to be true. But if you think about it, it's really understandable, right? So if someone has listened to you on a podcast interview, they've listened to your story, they've listened to your background, they've invested 30 to 45 minutes getting to know you. They've been introduced by a trusted advisor. They know what you do, who you work with, and they're like, yeah, I'd like to learn more about these people. Then they come to your site. You see, they've already self-selected that they would be a great client for you. This is not cold traffic like you'd get from a blog where somebody just, sees something show up in Google, the 6 hacks to do this. This is not cold traffic. This is hot traffic. This is someone that has already done a lot of the legwork beforehand. They have self-selected themselves out. And that's why we're seeing conversion rates of 25 times better than blogs. Now, some people will incorrectly quote this to say that the people on the listeners of the podcast, 25% of them will become leads. That's ridiculous. I don't know how you would measure that. Other people will say they're 25 times as valuable. Interesting, but that's not what my study says. So a lot of people are making claims on this that aren't actual, or at least they're not off of my study. So what does this mean to you? If you are a business owner, if you're a brand, an author, a coach, a consultant, what is your goal? Is it to get more leads? Is it to get more visitors? Well, I don't know about you, but I've never been able to go to a bank and deposit a lead or deposit a visitor. No, what you want is customers. You want clients. You want long-term value from these people. So don't get fooled into this ultimate metric is how many people I can talk to or how big my list is. No, it's all about revenue. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So what this is telling you is that you will get better leads from a podcast interview because they're not cold leads. They're coming to your website engaged with you. And that's what we're seeing from our clients. They're reporting that clients typically close faster from coming from podcast interviews. Now, Why would that be? Well, if they've already listened to you for 30 or 45 minutes, they've probably done some research online. They've been introduced to you by a trusted friend who is the podcast host. They've done so much of that work before they ever get on the phone call with you. So all of these things are important. I'm a data-driven guy. Our focus is always return on investment for our clients, both of their time and their money. I know personally, I've spent a lot of time writing blogs, and I didn't know if they did anything. Now I have a whole lot more fun being on podcast interviews, answering questions, getting the feedback right away, and then using that content to repurpose into blogs. For me, that's much easier and much powerful. So the next time you hear somebody say, podcast interviews convert 25 times better than blogs, you'll know what it means. Ask them if they know what it means.
Has obscurity become your biggest problem? Stages have disappeared. Conferences are canceled. In-person meetings seem like a distant memory. Your prospective customers still need you. They still need to hear from you. Stop trying to break through the noise. It's not working. Get in on the conversation. Get featured as the expert guest on targeted podcast interviews. Podcasts are hot. Listenership is up 20% in 2020. Podcasts are the new digital stage. Leverage other people's established platform as a featured guest. Since 2015, Interview Valet has helped over 500 leading brands get featured on over 20,000 podcast episodes. You're the guest. We take care of the rest. Stop being the best kept secret. Find out how we can help you leverage targeted podcast interviews to get heard, to grow your brand, to grow your sales, to be recognized as the market leader.